Oh my god. The piano is just ding, 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 ding. Left 4 Dead is a zombie shooter survival game that you can play with friends. And you've told me a lot of times in the comments that the music is to die for. So let's take a listen. This is the song called Left 4 Dead. Okay, right off the bat, starting very dissonant, very avant-garde classical style. Oh wow, very haunting. The singing is adding this creepy, hair-raising vibe because of very soft, very lullaby-like, in kind of an ironic way, knowing that this is in the horror genre and that what I believe is like a cello drone. That's the beautiful thing about a cello. It can sound so sonorous. It can sound super harsh and also sound super rough. Like a blues singer with a growling voice. But just one note for the cello can add so much atmosphere with just that drone. There you go. Those what I call horror pianos. When you're just playing the low notes of the piano very loudly. Dung, dung, dung. Very typical in horror scores in films and games. Oh, wow. I love the use of repetition by the end. To kind of drill into your head this creepy melody, and it's slowing down, walking to its death, maybe. But wow, overall, creepy, atmospheric, haunting vibe with lots of deep horror sounds provided by the cello, the piano, but it is also given this haunting but emotional creep factor by those beautiful lullaby-like vocals. And this next one here is called Tank, which a lot of you told me is the one to watch out for. That is such a typical classic horror sounding stinger. In the world of film scoring, stingers are what you call short snippets of music, like 2 to 3 seconds of music to give accents to certain scenes. And it's also used in kind of a similar way in games. But this sounds like da, 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 like the typical shock music, like that over dramatic chipmunk. Is that the meme? Yes, the dramatic chipmunk. Yeah, it's like that same way of usage in the dramatic chipmunk. Dun, dun, dun. Same vibe, same energy. Yeah, there is so much doom and gloom, so much despair in this kind of music. It's definitely giving this kind of Minds of Moria vibe. They are coming, they're here, prepare for a battle. Yes, these are tastefully used dissonances. If you're hearing the horns, the trumpets, the French horns, the brass section in general, they're playing a lot of clashing notes. And when I say clashing notes, these are typically not the pleasant sounding triads that you hear in a major chord or in a minor chord like an A minor or C major. These are notes that are typically close together or clustered together in a piano. For example, if you find a piano and just hit an entire cluster of keys with the palm of your hand, just blindly hit it, and that's called a cluster chord. It doesn't sound typically pleasing to the ear in a standard musical way, and if used in a strategic manner, like for example in this type of music, which is more on the horror side, more on the doom and gloom side, it works perfectly. Wow! We have melody! Oh my god. So this type of atonal music, classical, neoclassical music, this is also something that you would hear typically in a composition by Igor Stravinsky. For example, his Rite of Spring does a lot of these cluster chords or dissonant chords, and it is usually used when a composer wants to portray chaos or disorder or something that is more about scaring the audience, scaring the listener, or making you feel anxious or uneasy. Because again, if you find a piano, play that cluster chord and it annoys people. It annoys you, it's uneasy, it makes you cringe in a way. Is that the same melody that they're playing? Whoa! Yeah, it is the same motif from the main title theme. That lullaby sounding voice. Da, 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 da. This one, they kind of change it a little, but it's still the same descending. Da, 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 da. Wow! I can understand why you wanted me to check this out. It is definitely a standout and an atonal, modern classical masterpiece. Short and sweet, but it definitely fits that zombie shooter vibe, that dread that is waiting for you if you don't survive. By the way, if you're enjoying my content and want to support the channel, consider joining my YouTube memberships or my Patreon. Let's continue. The Monsters Within. Very curious. Okay, that intro was very much Godzilla-like, like a kaiju introduction, like a kaiju entrance. Dun, 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 Godzilla is here! Something. I like that electro rock right there, kind of like a 70s, 80s spy soundtrack with lots of dissonances, lots of, again, what we learned today, cluster chords, but this time being done by the brasses. There we go again. The horror piano. Dun 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 dun. Singular notes on the lower end of the piano, but played in a very loud manner that you will hear the twang of the strings. And if you double it with a string section, with the contrabass, with the cellos, and the lower strings of the violin, it doubles the terror. Ooh, emotional part. Let's go. Okay, the chords are playing on neutral fifths, and then there's like a bit of a hint of a major chord, minor chord, suspended chord. It's like playing with your emotions, because a suspended chord tends to make you feel hanging, like an unfinished cadence hanging in there and then going to minor, but then it is buried underneath all these cluster chords. So it's like hinting a little piece of hope, making you feel a bit of hope or positivity that you will survive. Maybe you will survive. There's a tiny glimmer of hope, but it's all buried underneath all these dissonances, these unsure emotions, these anxiety-driven harmonies. Yeah, there's a little bit of a feeling of kind of an outer space vibe, a floating feeling, but then there's also unsureness. Now it's beginning to sound more like an angelic choir singing in a cathedral. Are you gonna be saved by the angels? Are you gonna be saved by some hero? Remains to be seen. Now we're bordering on a little bit of a repetitive Philip Glass kind of style of minimalism. Wow, okay. That ended quite abruptly in a very tastefully rude fashion. It's like you were dropped into the middle of the action, in the middle of the final battle. And then you're left hanging. What's happening? I don't know what's going on. Then boom, you're dead. Or you're rescued. Or the battle is over. Something. At least musically speaking, that is the feeling, the emotions that I experienced in a linear way. Of course, it's definitely different while playing the game, but this is a music channel and this is a music reaction, so we're talking just about the music. Now, this one is called Which, but which is which? I wonder. Oh my god. We were just talking about cluster chords in the tank reaction. And now here we have the piano is just ding, 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 that repeatedly playing that cluster chord in the higher register with a chaotic sounding soprano vocal, kind of probably representing the witch. Whoa, I love that. I don't know if I'm nerding out here, but listen to this again. What started as something floaty, chaotic, almost has no form. It's like just a child playing, banging that higher register of the piano, mindlessly playing it, annoying everyone. And then there's this floaty, ethereal vocal that is on the creepy factor. And then slowly those hi-hats or those high sounding percussion slowly comes in, and then it actually is a 6/8 pattern. Now we have form, now we have rhythm. That totally caught me off guard because I was just expecting this to be like fully atmospheric, but no, now we have a battle drum with an actual rhythmic pattern that I can vibe to. Woo! Brilliant! Brilliant writing, brilliant arrangement. Yeah, 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. Okay, now the way this is written, especially with the piano and the vocals rising and rising and rising, and there's a small hint of a tonal center provided by those blasting horns. But this is pretty much on purpose, fingernails scratching on a blackboard. That kind of annoying sound, but done on purpose in a well-arranged piece of music. And I could understand that this is probably one of those enemies or types of monsters like a witch, that when they appear, they are meant to frighten you, to annoy you, to give you this hair-raising fear as a warning. Oh my God, the witch is here. Run! Yeah, that is one way to write highly ambient and atmospheric music to portray a certain emotion, fear, terror. Well done. Now click on this next video if you want more discussions and musical analysis of video game music.